If you struggle with shyness or social anxiety, check out our free No BS training course with actual useful advice you can do from home. None of that just get out there nonsense. The link is in the description below. For now, let's get to today's question.
How I crushed my severe shyness in under a year. My confidence is now through the roof. This is not necessarily a good thing. Hi. Thanks for reading my blog. Did you know this is a top parenting blog on Medium? I'm flattered. Smile. I began writing this blog over a year ago when my son was born to help me handle the stresses of becoming a new mom. If you like this post, please click that clappy button at the bottom until it gets to 50. I'll be your best friend forever. Note there are some affiliate links in this post. Amazon pays me to write. Isn't that nice of them? Feel free to ignore them, click on them, do as you wish, it's your life. If you'd like to connect elsewhere, I'm at One and Done Mom on Twitter and Facebook. Enjoy the post, your day, that smoothie/coffee/bottle of wine you're drinking, your life. When I was 22-ish, I was sitting in a park in Philadelphia. I watched as a strange little man careened from woman to woman, asking brazenly to bum a smoke. He did this with about 8 people or so until he finally got to me. "Can I bum a smoke?" he asked. I dug one out of my pack and handed it to him. "Can I bum a light?" he then asked. "Do you want me to smoke it for you, too?" I said, using a tired singer. He knocked my sass and used it as a gateway to mention that he was a stand-up comedian. I was entranced. I'd always wanted to perform stand-up, but I was certain there was no way I could ever do what those geniuses I saw on TV did. Jerry Seinfeld, Roseanne Barr, Rodney Dangerfield, they were bona fide wizards. The way they just came up with those perfectly crafted jokes off the tops of their heads like that? The only thing that separated them from magicians to me was a white rabbit. They were certifiably brilliant, and I wished I could be one. But alas, the little man found my love of comedy endearing and took me to his house nearby to watch some of his comedy tapes. If I had been a smarter person, I'd have never gone to some odd man's house to watch comedy tapes, but then again, I'd never have started smoking. I followed him out of intrigue to his gorgeous, expensive home, which I learned was his parents' house. He popped a VHS tape into the player and I watched him perform a great comedy set on some TV show. He popped another in and I saw another great set, though I noticed some of the jokes repeated. Wait a damn minute, I thought. He wasn't coming up with these jokes on the fly. He'd written and rehearsed them, like an actor. Well, if there was one thing I felt confident about always, it was my writing. I could write jokes and tell them, no problem. Except problem. The idea of getting onto a stage in front of people and talking was absolutely petrifying to me. It was so scary, I put off giving it a try for months. When I finally got around to it, I was so nervous, I couldn't focus on the words I'd written or remember what I wanted to say. I was thrown out of my game fast. But it became like a horse I wanted to get back onto and conquer. So my love of, passion for and addiction to performing stand-up comedy began. Night after night for months to come, I'd get onto various stages around Philadelphia, New Jersey and New York City and flounder. I'd forget my jokes, get overwhelmed by the bright lights and frazzled by the lack of laughter or heckling. People would yell at me to get off the stage, or look up at me with faces of disappointment that were so clear and overwhelming, I wanted to run and hide. I kept going back. Step 1, keep going back. Whatever you are doing that makes you feel shy, be it talking to people alone or in front of a group, asking someone on a date, making a business phone call, whatever it is, keep returning to it. It is going to be hard the first, second, maybe 39th time, but then all of a sudden, it will feel easier. Out of nowhere. Like a finger snap. You'll feel it. It's like dieting. Your clothes are tight, and they are tight and they are tight, and then all of a sudden, you realize your jeans fit just a little bit better. It's exactly like that. So whatever it is that makes you feel nervous, anxious, tense, if it's something you want to conquer, keep going back. I grew up in a small New England town. I knew of most of the people in my town, and they knew of me. Reputations preceded us all. If you had a scar or stain on your reputation, it followed you around like a shadow, and I had a few scuffs. One guy who was perhaps an ex of one of the junior girls decided he would try to win my affection, and I liked his attention and began spending time with him. This unintentional misstep led me to find myself in an awkward position of being despised by several upperclassmen. Today, I would call the woman on the phone and talk to her directly, or maybe not even be phased enough to even give it a thought. But at the time, I was petrified. It made me want to crawl up in a hole and hide. I didn't want to be seen in public by her or her friends. When I did, I got a terrible feeling in the pit of my stomach, like they were going to come after me or say something mean to me. Like, who cares, right? But at the time, it was downright painful. I believe that one of the reasons performing on stage was so difficult for me was that I had low self-worth. Part of why that was is because I allowed the mean girls of my hometown to convince me that I was yucky. My young, underinformed self believed all the awful things they said about me. And those things weighed on my spirit and my sense of self. It took a long time for me to rebuild that damage. But it started with one very simple mantra: I'm FKN awesome. It started like a whisper, at first. Then it grew to a call. Then to a holler. Then to a scream. Now it's so loud, I often have to quiet it, because I don't need the mantra so much anymore. But the truth is, I am FKN awesome, and so are you. Step 2, know what makes you awesome. Think about all that you can do. Think about your extremely unique skill set, your experiences, your stories, your traits and characteristics that set you apart. They are boundless, if you really think about it. Maybe you can draw really well, or you are athletic, or you can make an incredible meal, or you can entertain a group of people. Maybe you can start up a conversation with anyone, or are the person everyone turns to when they need advice. Maybe you know how to pack a suitcase like a pro, or are incredibly organized, or can build an engine, or can fix a broken computer. Whatever little things you can do that you probably take for granted, other people envy and admire. Find those things and latch onto them. They are yours and yours alone. You don't have to share these skills with anyone. You don't have to brag about them or gloat. But you can if you want to, but keep them in a mental jar, and when you are feeling less than the strongest you can be, remember that they are there, and if you need to use them, turn to them. Use them to start conversation, to help a friend or stranger, to get a job, to get a raise, to improve upon, to better your life in some way. They are your gifts and the light that shines inside your soul when it's feeling dark. I spent many months on many stages, struggling to find my voice and to develop courage in a scary place. I was so shy. I just couldn't get past this cloud of fear and unacceptance. I kept going back. I knew I was good enough to be there giving it a try. I just couldn't push past my own inability to be brave. So I did something kind of strange. I imagined the scariest stages in town. To a girl who grew up in a small, completely homogenized town, Harlem's stages were scary to me. The audience members would tell you sucked frankly, and then everyone would laugh at you. I couldn't think of anything scarier. The other place that seemed scary to me was the subway platform. I'd seen people with their guitars, singing and playing, and it looked petrifying. I had to give it a try. For the next 36 months, I made myself a regular at several open mics uptown and on the West 4th Street subway stop ramp. People cackled at me, insulted me, put me down, made fun of my voice, my hair, the way I was dressed, everything about me, or even worse, walked right past or looked right through me and pretended I wasn't even there. I took it all. I took it and took it and took it. And eventually, I broke. In a good way. One night, I got on stage, and I wasn't so scared anymore. The lights weren't so bright. The ramp wasn't so intimidating. The noise of the screaming subway cars didn't sound so loud. People began putting money into my guitar case. They invited me to perform on other shows. The laughter roared, and people were laughing with me. I had done it. I had conquered my fear. It took me about 1 year. Step 3, let IT take as long as IT takes. We are all different. Some of us learn fast. Some of us learn slowly. For me, it took 1 year before I felt courageous enough to get in front of the room and talk with no fear. Now, fortunately and unfortunately, I can get up in front of any room of people, anywhere, and address the room fearlessly. Maybe I won't always get the laughs I hope for, though I can usually entertain a group of people with my jokes and songs. I can perform or tell a story or talk or address a crowd literally anywhere, in front of any size audience, and I consider it to be one of my life's greatest skills and achievements. I say this because public speaking is considered scarier than death to many people. They'd literally rather die than talk in front of a room of people. And I get it, because I was there once. Now, I can't really think of anything I'd rather do than enter in a huge crowd. The way it feels is incredible. The wave of laughter and the energy it produces makes my hair stand on end and my body radiate with a warmth that is just incomparable. Okay, maybe it's kind of like sex or something. Or eating a huge, delicious free meal that someone else cooked for you and will clean up. Or spending time doing something you absolutely love, whatever that may be. Sailing, reading alone in a quiet place, hiking, traveling. That all being said, this skill is wonderful for me not only because I can entertain a large group, but because I can talk to people one-on-one. And that is actually its biggest and most important benefit. I can have a sincere conversation with anyone, anywhere. I'm not afraid to talk to CEOs, millionaires, children, talk show hosts, celebrities, business owners, interviewers, athletes, anyone. Except maybe Stephen King. I might be kind of intimidated by him. But everyone else, I can talk to. Not being able to talk to people absolutely sucks. It's the reason the world experiences war, famine, hardship. Communication, or lack thereof, is the key to every single dilemma in our world, yet almost no attention is given to this. It's very simple and actually quite easy to teach topic. Every child should be made to feel comfortable speaking in public from a young age, and communicating freely. Every teen should get a chance to and should be encouraged to talk and be heard, regularly. I know full-grown adults who have a hard time making business phone calls because it's too uncomfortable. I get it. That was me, once. Now that I am a mom, I wonder how I will help my little boy conquer shyness. He is starting to experience it now. He will climb into the space between my legs and hide behind one of my girth-wide thighs, poking his face out just a smidge to see the thing that is causing him anxiety. I touch his head and try to assure him everything is okay, but it's not always enough. It's something he will have to make sense of on his own, in his own time. But I will be there to help him. I will remind him often that he has value, that he has a voice, that people want to hear what he has to say. Sure, maybe not always, but when the time is right. So in closing, if you don't want to be shy anymore, you don't have to be. Concoct a plan and put it into action. Give yourself a year. That's how long it took me. You may be surprised where you are physically, mentally and emotionally at the end of the year. If nothing else, you will be able to comfortably ask a random stranger what the time is. The other option is, just get old. Eventually you won't give a care what anyone thinks of you. It's a beautiful benefit to aging, perhaps the best one.